One's ready. One's ready. Go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. This is your daily drop for the 16th of May. It is brought to you by, of course, I'm not prepared because that's what I do. It is brought to you by Attack Lead. If you head over to onesready.com, then right-hand side, hit Prep, Partner Discounts. That will take you to our partner page. If you scroll down to the second one, you'll see Attack Lead. Attack Lead provides all the gear that you could possibly need for, well, maybe not all the gear that you could possibly need, because I'm sure you could find something else that you'll need, but they've got high volume masks, they've got snorkels, they've got rocket fins, Alice rucks, smartwatches, goggles, ropes for tying knots, booties, like everything that you can need to help prepare. Now, the way you get a discount, though, because that's really what we're looking about, right, is you click on any of those links, and it's going to take you, and let me share the next screen, because it's going to take you to this screen that looks like this, right? And it's going to say, what's it going to say? It's going to say Jared Petrus sent you 10% off, and then you just hit redeem the code, and it's going to give you a one-time use code. So that will get you a discount. All right. So check them out. We've been partners with them for quite some time, and we really enjoy our partnership we have with them. So, all right. This is your news. If you're new here, this is the curated news that Public Affairs for the Department of the Air Force releases every single day, and I've put it through AI to regurgitate it and cut it down because it's a long document, and last thing you need is me reading this to you. So what I'll do is I'll give you the news, and then if I have any insider baseball or opinions on it, I'll give that to you. All right, first up, joint news, layered targeting tracking architecture. DoD officials advocate a seabed to space approach for tracking threats to the U.S., integrating undersea sensors, aircraft, and satellites. The Space Force and Air Force support a mixed air and space asset architecture, though the E-7A Wedgetail program faces potential FY26 budget cuts. That seems like those are two unrelated things, but maybe they're not. I mean, I guess when you start talking about tracking threats and that kind of stuff and sensors, like the E-7A is definitely integrated as part of that layer. So there you go. All right, next, transgender troop separation policy. The Pentagon will modify periodic health assessments to screen for gender dysphoria and rely on commanders to identify transgender service members for medical reviews and involuntary separations. Despite acknowledging not all transgender troops have dysphoria, the policy uses this diagnosis as a basis, with its legality still under judicial review. I mean, here's my 2 cents on it, right? Whether it's, I guess you could say it's opinion-based, but it's also kind of rooted in fact, is if you haven't heard of the DSM-5, it stands for something, but it talks about mental disorders that are, and it's a big old thick book. And gender dysphoria is in that book as a mental illness or a disease or whatever you want to call it, right? I'm definitely not using the right term for it, but it is in that, right? Just like being bipolar and that kind of stuff. It is in that. So that means it's a disorder. If it's a disorder, then the military can absolutely discriminate against that, or be, allow people to be in or not allow people to be in based off of what they see. I mean, we turn down, unfortunately, a lot of people that happen to take ADHD medicine when they were a child for 3 months, and that one medication is like a banned substance. So if they took it once, like that's it. Or it's just, and I don't agree with that. I think it's terrible, because there was a point in time where they were giving ADHD medicine to anybody and everybody. Just like, hey, this kid's behaving like, I'm sorry, your 7-year-old boy isn't designed to sit in a desk in a classroom for 8 hours a day. They need to play. They need to go out there and do stuff. He's not ADHD. He is just a boy that needs to go and do stuff. You don't need to medicate him. Now that part is definitely an opinion. All right, mental health staffing shortages in the DoD schools. The Government Accountability Office report highlights overwhelmed counselors at DoD schools facing rising student mental health issues, including a 2% suicide risk assessment rate. Due to staffing shortages and bureaucratic challenges, with a psychologist to student ratio of 1 for every 832 students, worse than recommended, but better than public schools, these gaps threaten mission readiness. I'm not saying that this is a cause, but it's not the cause, but it is a cause for sure, is everything that the government did for COVID, right? The reaction to it, the shutting down schools, the wearing masks everywhere, the 6 feet distancing and all that kind of stuff, that created a whole bunch of isolation, depression, anxiety, fear, and all of that got transmitted to our kids. And the kids lived it for what was it, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years they lived that. And like, so the 2% increase in suicide that's probably on par. Like, I'm not saying it's great. I think it's terrible and all that kind of stuff, and I don't support it. But like, if you're wondering why all that stuff happened, take a look back and see that. And then that's a 1 for every 832 students. That's a hell of a ratio. And I agree, the public schools are definitely worse, because I don't think like at my kids' schools, I don't even know if there is a psychologist, and if there is, like, what is that rate? Because they go to public school, so like I can't imagine what that is then. All right, Air Force news. The Sentinel ICBM progress. The Air Force and Northrop Grumman are advancing the Sentinel ICBM program, opting for new silos over modernizing aging ones to ensure longevity. Brigadier General William Rogers emphasized careful risk management and engineering to move the program forward effectively. Yeah, we are, for lack of a better analogy, we are in the Stone Ages when it comes to ICBMs or intercontinental ballistic missiles. The new Sentinel is where we need to go, and I'm glad we're going there, because our stuff that we currently have is definitely aging. But it's pretty cool to go see. Like, I went up to Minot and checked out the missile silos. Like, it's pretty cool. Retention bonus deadline. Airmen have until May 20th, 2025, a couple days from now, to apply for selective retention bonuses, as congressional funding for the program is nearly depleted. The Air Force expanded eligible specialties to 89, fully utilizing the allocated budget to support enlisted retention. You know, Aaron dropped a reel on this yesterday, and I mean, it's kind of going viral, I guess, or whatever. Got a lot of comments on it. Most people are like kind of amazed. Some people are like, yeah, this always happens. Well, here's the truth behind that is, yes, every year the program itself is assessed for its feasibility, but then they program or they budget money for the next FY year. What has never happened, as far as I've been in, or as far as I'm tracking, have we ever run out of money and just said we're canceling the program? Because what has happened is they run out of money, like they almost always do, and then they pull the money from someplace else to help satisfy that. They have never pulled it. I mean, okay, so October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So we are 8 months into the fiscal year and we're out of money already and we're canceling it. I'm sure we could pull those funds from someplace else to help pay these service members their retention bonus. And the fact that Headquarters Air Force A1 pulled the trigger on this, affecting tens of thousands without consulting the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Like, and I can tell you right now, because contact with them, is he was pissed, and he was scrambling to try and figure out like how the hell this happened, why this happened, can we rectify it? So although the deadline is 20 May, I would like to think that we can get to a place where we find that money and then we satisfy these retention bonuses. But we'll see. Space Force National Guard tension. Approximately 600 Air National Guardsmen will transfer to the active duty Space Force despite opposition from all state governors who demand direct engagement and halt transfers. The Space Force assures part-time service continuity and a 10-year commitment to keeping transferred units in their current states. Yeah, I bet governors are upset about that. They don't, I mean, the Guard works for their governor, and they do have a federal mission as well, right? But they do work for the governor, and so when the governor is losing manning and losing forces and probably funding along with that, like they're going to be upset and oppose it. All right, Space Force news: Golden Dome costs uncertainty. The Golden Dome Missile Defense Initiative, still in early planning, is expected to exceed initial cost estimates and require a non-traditional procurement approach. Space Force leaders anticipate the FY26 budget will provide preliminary cost insights, emphasizing the need for integrated program orchestration. Well, I hope we're budgeting appropriately, because I don't know. I can tell you right now, I'm at a 90%, 99% certainty that we did not budget in FY25 for a Golden Dome. So when we start talking about, and this is just Air Force alone, right? Start talking about B-21, F-47, the collaborative combat aircraft, 2 types of them. We start looking at the new Sentinel ICBM, right? All these things cost an incredible amount of money. And to now throw in the Golden Dome as well, like we don't even have the E-7s either. Like we brought up the E-7 Wedgetails earlier. We don't have those yet either. We don't have all of our KC-46s yet either. We don't have all of our F-16 or F-15 EXs yet either. Like all of this stuff and all of this capability costs money. The problem is the Air Force is really, really bad at budgeting, and like you've heard me talk about it numerous times in here. Like, I'm talking in the hundreds of millions of dollars the Air Force is in the hole and overspent. I mean, how does that happen? All right. Golden Dome and space superiority. The Golden Dome Initiative encourages broader thinking about terrestrial and space-based solutions to achieve military objectives, enhancing space superiority. Lieutenant General Sean Bratton noted that terrestrial assets like the B-21 bombers could address space threats, promoting cross-domain problem solving. Now that's kind of interesting. I wonder, I'm sure that's extremely classified how they would do that, but I'm interested to peek behind the curtain on that one. In-space refueling analysis. We've talked about this before, so let's see what they say. The Space Force is studying the cost and military advantages of on-orbit refueling, weighing trade-offs against deploying new satellites. Lieutenant General Sean Bratton cited the Geosynchronous Space Situation Awareness Program as an example of where new satellites may be more efficient. This is what we kind of discussed, right? Is initially going in, the Space Force said, hey, we're going to explore and test doing in orbit or on orbit. This says on orbit, but I would think in orbit refueling of satellite systems, which is extremely difficult. It hasn't been done, and it's going to cost a lot of money. But you're reutilizing and repurposing and continuing the lifespan of these vehicles that are up in space. The other side of that was, and I believe it was Lieutenant General Sean Bratton said, hey, that's not very cost effective. It's actually more cost effective for us to just launch new satellites that have updated software and just more capability. And it's actually cheaper than doing the in-orbit refueling. I don't know. I'm not a space dude. I'm not a budgetary dude either. So like, I don't know these kind of things. I got to see the data for it. Got to have the conversation and see what makes sense and what costs. Sometimes the upfront cost with things, even though it's higher, is actually better in the long run and ends up being cheaper. But the military does have a difficult time seeing that a lot of times. Like you invest the money up front and it's going to be a heavy bill up front. And then on the backside, it just lasts longer. It's a higher quality thing, or it's actually what you intended on buying or intended on purchasing and using instead of just some half-ass thing because you were trying to save some money. Space-based target tracking. The Space Force is testing space-based sensors for air moving target indicator functionality, potentially complementing the Air Force and the Navy capabilities. This could reduce reliance on modernizing the E-3 Sentry fleet, though Air Force Chief of Staff David Allman emphasized the ongoing need for airborne capabilities, hence the E-7 that's taking forever to get out. I mean, it's taken a long time to get this thing out. The Australians have E-7s already. And we, luckily, because they're good partners of ours, we use theirs and we put people on there and that kind of stuff. But come on, America, get your shit together. All right. Man, I got to drink this coffee quicker because it's going cold. Of interest, Trump's F-35 twin-engine proposal. President Trump proposed a twin-engine F-55 stealth aircraft and an upgraded F-22, but experts argue redesigned F-35 would require creating a new aircraft. The analysis suggests the concept may align with the next generation air dominance program's future increments. Twin engine F-55 stealth. I'd need more intel. I'd be willing to bet if President Trump said that was probably on a whim. I don't know. Maybe he does have details on it, but yeah, when you have to change an aircraft, you probably are better off just designing a whole new one. Trump's troop pay raise promise. President Trump promised a substantial pay raise for service members during a Qatar visit, but the White House's FY26 budget proposes a modest 3.8% increase. This contrasts with a recent 10% raise for junior enlisted members, highlighting discrepancies in budget expectations. All that money has to come out of somewhere. I'm all about paying our service members more. I absolutely am. We just have to consider, that money is not infinite, and I know people, you just print money. That's a really bad, that's how inflation happens. That's how a lot of collapses of markets happen and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not an economist or anything like that, so I could be completely full of crap. But printing money is just shouldn't be the go-to. And because spending gets out of control. People just spend. And the fleecing of government, you would not believe how much some of these companies charge the military for just easy construction work stuff. Getting new bathrooms putting in, or getting an auditorium built, or a conference room updated, with paint, flooring, audio visual equipment. It's wild. And it ain't right. Hypersonic engine flight test. Venus Aerospace successfully flight tested a 2,000-pound thrust rotating detonation rocket engine, advancing hypersonic travel possibilities. The test, engaging U.S. defense and commercial partners, marks progress toward global travel in under 2 hours. That's quick. Denver air traffic communication lost. The Denver air traffic control lost communications for 2 minutes, but maintained safety via emergency frequencies with no aircraft separation issues. Good job. A 2024 GAO report noted 51 of the 138 FAA air traffic facilities are unsustainable and compounded by a 3,500 controller staffing shortage. I mean, that really makes you want to go fly, doesn't it? Jeez. 51 of 138 systems are unsustainable and then compounded by a 3,500 controller staffing shortage. Enjoy your flight. Migrant charges dismissed. A federal judge dismissed the trespassing charges against migrants in the New Mexico National Defense Area, ruling they were unaware of the zone status. The migrants still face charges for illegal U.S. entry, highlighting ongoing border security complexities. Come on. They 100% knew where they were at. Japan T4 safety inspections. Japan's Air Self-Defense Force initiated emergency inspections of nearly 200 T4 trainer aircraft after a crash left 2 airmen missing. Crashed T4 lacked black boxes, prompting Defense Minister General Nakatani to mandate their installation on remaining aircraft. Man, 2 airmen missing. That ain't great. Russian airspace violation. A Russian Su-35 breached Estonian airspace for 1 minute during the NATO drill, prompting Portuguese F-16s to intercept it. Estonian officials linked the incident to Russia's shadow fleet activities, urging stricter sanctions against Moscow. Well, that's what Russia does, right? And it's not just Russia, like everybody does it, but you sit here and you're kind of poking and you're just dipping your toe in just to see what happens. That's all it is. It's to poke the bear, but then also to see what the reaction time is and what the reaction is. That's a pretty standard thing. Taiwan Strait tensions. Rising Chinese military activity and willingness to use force against Taiwan increase the risk of miscalculation, necessitating clear U.S. resolve to counter aggression. The Trump administration's internal debates could embolden Beijing, requiring strategic clarity to avoid crisis. All right, that's your news. That's your daily drop. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave us a comment. And if you are interested in joining the Operator Training Summit, we have 2 slots. As of this recording, we have 2 slots available still. That is 21 and 22 June. If you're interested in it, email me at jared@onesready.com and we'll get you the data. All right, later.